In the previous episode, we built this here chicken coop that houses our chicken farm and our egg farm, which allowed us to add the final meat source to the butcher. We then added the old farmhouse to this area where we're going to turn all those meats into foods, but instead we got distracted and ended up adding a bunch of villagers to the first floor. But in this episode, we really need to sort the food problem because I've resorted to eating dry bread, and that is not right, especially when you have a mod like Farmer's Delight. So we finally need to fill this room with some contraptions that will make us some food. But I do think before we start with any construction, we need to sort the power situation, because I currently have a bunch of water wheels underground powering all the contraptions in this area, and I'm worried it's going to start getting laggy. So what we're going to do is we're going to add ourselves a little steam engine. And the area I've chosen is right over here at the back of the house, and the steam engine will be one of the first builds that will not be part of the building itself. Instead, I'm going to build it underground, and I'm just going to put a little structure on top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig the hole, and I'll bring you guys back. Then we build the steam power unit together. So now that we have this hole dug out, it's time for us to build our little steam contraption or little steam engine. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to surround this area with blocks, because this will be an infinite water source, because we're going to need water to pump into the steam engine. And I can see I already made a mistake. I need to bring this out by 2 like this. There we go. And now that's in the right position. And what we need to do next is we need to, right above these, add some blaze burners like that. So a little bit off center. And the reason for that is the tank's going to be in this area and the pump's going to be over here. And the pump can't pump through a blaze burner. So to get in the pump, I'm just going to put a temporary little block over there, add a pump on that, and then we can rip out this temporary little block we had over there. And that's this layer almost complete. So now we can see we're going to take water out, we're going to put it in a tank, and we will change the direction of that pump in a sec. But before I build the tank, I think what we need to do is we need to place down a depot right over there. And the depot is plainly because we're going to take items from it with a mechanical arm, and we're going to give it to these blaze burners over here. So what I want to do is then right click and place it over here. So we've got a mechanical arm, and there you can see 1 input, 4 outputs, which is perfect. And then on top of these blaze burners, we can add our first set of tanks. And with that, we can add a pipe that will then send water into the tank. And on this side, we can place down our drawer with our blaze cakes in. And if we put down a funnel, it will dispense a single blaze cake onto the depot for the hand to grab. So with that in place, it's time for us to just give these 2 items power, and we're also going to do temporary power, and I'll explain why. So we need to be able to start this machine up, and we can do that either by having a water wheel power this and it will give it power. But the reason why I'm settling for a hand crank is because if this should stop for any reason, I can come down, I can spin this hand crank, and it will slowly use this arm to give a blaze cake to the blaze, and also it will power the pump and it will put water into this tank. And once this is powered, it will start powering the steam engine part that it's going to be in, well, this area over here. And then from there, we will send power into this little pump at a faster pace, and then this hand crank will not be used. So this is mainly just for that odd occasion when it decides to stop. So with all of that said, we're going to add another cog over here, and this is where we're going to put in the power, the automatic power that runs this whole system. So now from this point, we're going to add 2 more layers to this tank, which will be enough for now just to see if we can get it started. And then on these 4 spots above this pipe, we're just going to add engines, which will turn this into a boiler. So now that we have all of that, we need to see if we spin this, if it's going to start producing power. So if we click the hand crank and you spin, we see the mechanical arm is taking a blaze cake. It fed a blaze, and that little contraption started going up. So we can see we have a level 1 boiler, and now we can just put this there and there, and we can see it turned into a steam engine. But that's the thing, because it's working, we can produce power, but it won't last long because we're doing it manually. And it's our job now to take the power from this and feed it back into that cog over there. But I don't just want to feed it in at a normal pace. No, I want to speed it up a bit so the pump works faster, and that way we can produce a bit more stress units. So let me get that part in and I'll walk you through it once we're done. Okay, so all I did in this area was the bottom shaft I connected to the big cog that goes into the rotational speed controller. I set that to 64 RPM, and then from there, the side I take out a shaft that goes into a vertical gearbox into this cog that will also power the system. So in theory, if we spin this, it starts to move, and then once I let it go, it went up even further, and we're producing a total of 49,000 stress units at the moment, which I do believe is enough. I don't think if we make the tank bigger it will change anything. We can see it's still 49, and I think even if we add more arms to this thing, it will just stay at 49. Yeah, it will just stay at 49, and the reason being we're not giving it enough water and the size isn't big enough. But that's not a problem, so we're going to rip this out because we don't need those, because I do believe that is enough. So what I need to do now is just fill in the dirt on top of this. We'll be back with a little build we need to do on top of the dirt. So while I'm busy back there filling in that hole and getting the dirt placed before we build our structure, me and the dangling llama brothers want to ask you a favor. See, if you made it to this point in the video, you might be one of the 88.3% of the viewers that are not subscribed. So why don't you just hit the button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you never miss another video. It really helps out the channel, and I would appreciate that greatly. Isn't that true, dangling brothers? They say yes. So subscribe. I know you want to. So we got this area covered, and I marked out the entrance with a little rooted framed trapdoor, and that's just so we can jump down and see if we need to power it manually. We can come down, crank the hand crank, get it all started up, but for now it's running perfectly. The next thing we need to do is add a build in this area, and I prepared something for the schematic cannon, and we'll do that little build montage, but first I want to explain it. So growing up on the family farm way back, we did not have any form of heated water systems, so we made use of something that we refer to in Afrikaans as a donkey. So donkey just translates to donkey in English, and basically what it is you would have a steel tank of some sort that will function as your boiler, and underneath that boiler you would make a fire using wood, and you'll just slowly heat up the water to have warm water in the house. And this donkey brings back so many fond memories. I remember as a little child, when it was winter and was cold, you would go stand and hug the bricks because the bricks would be warm but not too hot to burn you. So I just thought it would be really interesting, really cool to bring something of my childhood into this build. So with that said, sit back and enjoy as we do a little build montage. Toasty. So here you have the donkey, and again I just popped on the shaders just to see what it looks like. So there's nothing extravagant about the build, and for me it's more the memory behind it, and I think it's a really neat way of saying, listen, yeah, we're using fire to create something, in this case not hot water, but nonetheless steam that will power our engine. So with that said, I think it's time for us to head inside and see if we can plan some of the basics we're going to need for the whole preparation of the food. So if we enter this building, you're going to see a lot of changes. First of all, as we enter, we've got something that can go in this area, but I think that will more be decorative. But we'll start off with the first contraption on this side, and this will mainly turn cabbage into cabbage leaves, and then that will go into a storage drawer that will then process everything and send everything over to this side. On this side over here, we're going to do the production of bread. So we're going to have wheat flour come out, we're going to turn it into dough balls, and from dough balls we'll go into bread, and that will also then join the storage system in the end. On this side, we will do the cooking of the 4 main meat types, and I guess I can do it just on a single belt with some fans, but I want to incorporate Farmer's Delight a bit more, so we will be using frying pans and some mechanical arms. So it might not be the most efficient, but it will be a fun way of doing it. So that's going to happen in this spot over here. And then on the back wall over here, we're going to use mechanical crafters to craft all our final ingredients into 4 food types. So I think I need to grab all the necessary items out of my backpacks, and we're going to start planning these little builds one at a time, maybe with what happens in front here first. So the first thing I think we need to do is maybe add this item over here. And I know I said decorative, but I think in the end we're going to do maybe a storage system, and this will just house all the raw products. So that's mainly our lettuce, our tomatoes and stuff like that. And we're going to start by just quickly filling in a bunch of drawers. And from these drawers, we're going to start adding the items we get over from the mill over there, and also the items we're going to process like bread and those type of things will also go in here. So we've got all the basics in here and some of the processed ones like the bread, the cabbage leaves, and the cooked meats. I am not sure if there's more, but if there's more, we can just add them over here or make them run across, which I think I'd rather make them run across the top. But that's that for the storage. Now on this side in the corner, we're going to come out with our storage trim. We're going to have a drawer slave on this side, and then we're going to run some belts. And these belts basically just need to run a certain amount, let's say up to there maybe, that should be fine. And on top of that, we'll place a slicer. And for this slicer, we'll give it a little knife, and the cabbage that comes out will come out onto the belt. It will go under the slicer, it will get sliced. And then from here, I think I want to do something like this. We'll dig down again, we'll do another storage drawer over there, we'll do a chute on top of that, and again we're just going to do a basket because I think it just brings in a bit of the farmer's delight. We might end up picking up some of the items if we run through here, but I don't think we're going to run through here enough to actually do that all too often. So that's the basic contraptions in here. So all I need to do now is just add power, add all the funnels on that, and then it should be good to go. So now that we've got the last funnel in here and everything's the way it should be, we only need to power this. But the next part we're going to do is this area over here, and you can see I've added all the trims coming out of the floor between clips. And now what I'm going to do is on this side we're going to have a line of drawer control slaves running this way. On them we're going to place a bunch of funnels, but I'm shift clicking so they're pointing into it because we will change that around. We first just need to add the filters, and from here we will have our little depots. So these funnels will place items on the depots, and then on the opposite side of these depots we're going to leave a 3 gap, and we're just going to have a line of stoves in like this, and these stoves will end up having skillets on top of them, and the skillets will pop the items off into baskets. So to be able to do that, we need to have chutes over here. On top of those chutes we will have baskets just like that. And to ensure that the items go from the stove to the basket, we need to make sure that the handle is pointing that way, because with a skillet items come in from the left, and once it's cooked it will go right off the handle. So if the handle's this side, it will go right into this side. So all of these we're just going to do like this. So I know it doesn't look too fancy, but it's okay, it doesn't matter. And now with these mechanical arms we can say collect from the depot, place into the skillet, and place it down. And that's just going to be 4 of those in a line like so. So that's basically it for this. The only thing we need to do is underneath these we added drawer trims. These drawer trims need to get replaced with slave units, so we're going to rip them out, and then the drawer control slaves will go in there. And now basically we just need to power it and add the filters, and each of these filter will just be one of the raw variants from these. And I'm thinking now we might as well do the 4 raw variants over there, and now we have the raw variants in there, so we have a drawer for all of those, and we can just rip them out right there. And now we can just go over to these like so, and if we were to right click these funnels, they will output one of each item onto this depot for the mechanical arm to collect, put into the skillet, which will then end up in the baskets, and that will go then back to the storage over here. For the cooking of the bread and creation of dough, we need this area over here. So what's going to happen over here, we're going to have drawer slaves again. Items will come out, and the items being wheat flour, they will go onto a belt, and this belt will have fans over there blowing through water that will turn the wheat flour into dough. Then from here I want them to go into another storage drawer over here. So we're going to do 1 drawer control over there, a 1x1 storage drawer, and then again from here we'll take out those items onto a second belt, and over here we'll have fans again, but these will be blowing fire over these dough balls that will turn them into bread. And again we'll just have our drawer controllers on this side collecting the bread that will send it all back into this system over here. So that should be it for this system. We just need to rip out these stone blocks and add some more belts, because we're going to have a double system for cooking of the bread, or for cooking of the dough into bread, just like that. So now I can just go ahead and add a bunch of funnels over here. So here we're going to do 2 again, and then this is going to be a little closed system. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a drawer controller, and that means we do not have to add brass funnels on this side, nor on this side, nor on this side, because this is the only area that's connected to dedicated storage. So from here we have to say, okay, we're taking out wheat flour. And then for the wheat flour, I think we should leave it at 16 for now. We'll see if it goes fast enough. If it's got a backlog, we'll change that up, but I do think it will be fine. So then on this side, we can just add the normal brass, the normal andesite funnels, and that should be it. So now we've got an area for cooking of the meat. We've got an area for turning wheat flour into bread. So the last thing we need to do is basically this area over here. So the most important part about this area is the mechanical crafters and the storage. And for the 4 food items we're going to use, we have a total of 3 of the crafting recipes. That's a 2x2, and then 1 that is a 5 item recipe. So to make that work, we're going to do a drawer. So this will be our 2 grid, and then we'll do another drawer for a second 2 grid, and another drawer for a third. Our last one will be a 4th. So that's supposed to be a little bit further, but I think we can do it by just adding it in the center again. That way we've got somewhat of a pattern happening over here. Then onto each of these drawers, we'll have this one doing this, and this one as well, and the same for the last one. And then I think we can do that one as well. This is a simple 2-1 recipe, so it will just be like this. Same with this, same with that one. This one's going to be a bit different. We'll also have the 2 over here, but we'll have a 3rd input on that side like that. And the reason why I decided to put it on top and not at the bottom is because we need to withdraw items from the top. And now that we have this in, we're going to take smart chutes, and we're going to run a bunch of smart chutes all the way up here on top of each and every one of these. And the reason for this being, all of these recipes take in the same items. The first one will be a loaf of bread, and the second one will be the meat sauce, and I'm going to do that for all of those. And then we can't just belt everything in at the back here, so I did the chutes on top, or the funnels at top, the chutes on top, so that I can do belts at the bottom to take in the other items. But also, instead of using belts, we're going to use item drains. So we're just going to do this, and this will apparently help with the whole lag issue, which I am happy about. So that is how that's going to look, and that's how that's going to work. So now the only thing I need to do is first of all add all the different filters up there, and then add all the drawer slaves at the back over here, and all the funnels and filters and stuff like that. So that's going to be a tedious little process, and I'm going to do it off camera, and I'll bring you back once it's all in. So all the funnels are in and the filters have been applied. The only thing is these need to be turned around. So if we go from this side and we start turning them around, we should see items running along these. I do, however, notice I need to change them all to exactly 1, and I forgot to put the funnels on this side. So that is something I just need to adjust real quick. Okay, the funnels on this side have been fixed, and if we just right click these, they're still going to send out an entire stack. And then it's my job to go around and just say exactly 1 on each and every one of these, because I don't want it to send out an entire stack at a time. I don't think it can break the farm or anything, but it's just what I prefer to do. And now we can see all of those items on the bottom little drain system is in this little area, which is fantastic, and it means that's working. And now if we were to go and add drawer slaves over here, and connect it up with a trim over here, those drawers should also start to fill up. You will notice not all the mechanical crafters have bread in them. It's because these also need to be changed to exactly 1 as well, to ensure that the stuff gets distributed equally. And with that change, you can see all of these are now filled, and all we need to do over here is put in the item in these bottom drawers, but that will automatically happen once these craft. And we need to hook it up to power. We need to hook this up to power and add the liquids. And we need to hook this up to power as well as this. So a lot of power connection will be happening between this clip and the next clip. But when you guys get back, this place should be a functioning, working food production machine. So it took some time, but we finally connected everything up for this farmhouse, and that means we can produce food while we're busy in this world. And I'm quite impressed because the only place where we actually went through the building walls is right over here, where we had to do some panels, and in the garage right over here. But this bothers me even less because, like I mentioned, it's in a garage. But I think it's time for us to go inside and see what all we did. So if we enter the front door, we have, like mentioned, the cabbage cutter, which turns cabbage heads into cabbage leaves, deposits into this basket, and everything goes in there. We just decorated all of this just to see what it looks like. And I think we should test each and every one of these systems separately, starting with cabbage. With my cabbage in hand, if I right click in here, I deposit all the cabbage, and we'll see it will slowly come out. It will get processed, will go into the basket, and this number will go up. This number will only go up if these contraptions are full. But now that we know the cabbage is working, I think we should test the cooking area itself, where we cook the different types of meat. So with all the varieties of raw meat, we can right click over here, get them all in there, and we'll see that this mechanical arm takes one, puts it in a pan, and it slowly cooks. I notice now that it takes the entire stack, but I think that's fine. I'm not too bothered about it. So it will slowly start to cook all the meat, and they will make their way into these chutes. Unless the chutes are full, then they will start stockpiling all the way up here in the cooked meat areas, and then we can see the uncooked ones. So that's it for the meaty bits. The next part is all the bread, where we turn flour into wheat and wheat into bread. And I think... no, we don't have enough bread yet because all of those take bread, so it's going to take quite a while to fill up. But let's quickly deposit some wheat flour in here as well. So if we right click with all the wheat flour, it's all going to go in there. It's slowly going to make its way through the system, and it's not the fastest, but again, I really can't be too bothered because you'll see it will change, it will turn into dough, and the dough will then be cooked into bread, and the bread will make its way into the system, and then in the end, it will make all of these items. For now, it's standing still because we need a bunch of the other items, and let's just drop them all into this drawer as well. So onions, tomatoes, and carrots, we're all going to chuck it in there. And now this should slowly continue to make the different meals for us. It's going to take some time, but these drawers only take 2,000 of each item. And once these drawers are full, items will start backing up in all of the different funnels and chutes and belts and stuff. And then it will start filling up these drawers. So in the end, everything will get made and everything will fill up. I know it's not the most efficient or the fastest, but it works, and it's what I need to survive because I'm tired of eating just bread. But with the construction of every new farm, we sometimes unlock a new problem, and this problem is the fuel. You see, I already had to come stock it up with blaze cakes because it ran through the initial stack I had in. So sooner or later, we're going to have to make a plan to get our blaze cakes from the main base all the way over here to this area. Till then, I'm just going to fill it manually and hope for the best. So just like that, we got quite a lot done in today's episode. We fully automated some of the create mod foods, we're making bread, we're cooking meat, and we're cutting cabbages. And we also added a nice little steam powered plant hidden underneath the donkey that is just a little build from my childhood, and I think it's awesome. And there will be more builds from my childhood in this area, things that I remember from growing up on a farm, and I cannot wait to get to those. But sadly, it will not happen today and not in this episode as we ran out of time. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe button and the notification bell to not miss out on next week's episode, where we will be building a new vehicle in this world that'll help us get all the items from the butcher and the mill to the farmhouse. Till next time, bye for now.